So I feel like taking on a deeper subject today. Fucking guns. I am a gun owner. Uh, and for those of you who are like, wait, didn't you have a whole suicide thing going? Yeah, all my guns were locked away from me. I wasn't allowed to have access to any of them until both my doctors and my husband were like, yeah, she's stable. And even then, it was limited. And that was just, I could have my 22 long, and that was only for critter killing, because sometimes we get rabid animals. And there are some I still don't have access to. And that's a consequence that I have to live with because of the choices that whether I was insane or not at the time, made. Gun owners want gun rights or gun laws. We have gun rights. We want gun laws. We want to be able to look at the parents of the Parkland survivors and say, we are standing with you to save your children. Because we have children in schools too. All gun owners want safety laws. We're like, yeah, I think a background check is fair. Let's at least make sure we're not just freely giving them to felonies. And anyone's like, oh, you got to fill out the paperwork. Unless you go to Walmart or somewhere like that, I don't even think Walmart sells guns anymore. They don't run those background checks. All of the gun stores in Oklahoma, they don't have to. They're not required to. You have to fill it out, but they don't do jack shit with it because they can't get it done in the 3 days because the system isn't set up. Therefore, they don't have to. And then there's just the fact that you can buy a gun at a gun store or at a gun swap. And your entire liability is, well, he looks like a good guy. I don't think that should be the judgment of whether or not we give somebody something that can kill a lot of people. And you get to, well, you can kill somebody with a knife or a rock. I can run faster than a big ass rock, unless it's like rolling downhill. I mean, I am fat. But I got a lot better chance of outrunning a gun or a knife than I do a fucking gun. And that's the thing. Yeah, you can kill someone with a rock or a knife or a pole cube, but those are kind of, you have to get a little closer than a gun. And then when you throw that rock or that knife, you don't have another weapon on you unless you're going to pull another one out. And something tells me you're going to run out of rocks or knives before you run out of fucking bullets. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe we have the right to own guns completely. But I think that, well, just like other things in our life, there's responsibilities that go with it. Which means we don't just make laws saying felons can't have guns. We actually enforce it a little bit by trying to make sure that they don't have guns. And yes, I know they can still get them. But it seems to me that when your kid gets shot, the fact that they bought that gun legally is going to sit a little bit differently than if they went out and got it off the street. Because when they get it legally, that's basically the government saying, oh yeah, we were perfectly okay with this person having this weapon. We don't mind. Why should we have stopped him? That is not our job. Let me make something real clear, guys. And I say this as a gun owner who wants to keep their guns, okay? These kids today that are learning to put trauma compression bandages on the bodies of fourth grade students, their fellow fourth grade students. We're talking about training fourth graders to, in a trauma situation, save the life of other fourth graders. Can you imagine just the scars of learning that? And you can do that whole history thing. Well, kids used to also go to work at 5 years old. And then we learned better. Okay? The workday used to be 16 hours long. Those of you who have to work 16 hours, how many of you actually enjoy those hours? How many of you would like to get paid in 8 hours enough to just have to work 8 hours? We have guardrails on every single right, every single one. And the Second Amendment is no different. And if you don't realize that, look at the free speech arguments that are happening right now, because there are limits to free speech. There always have been. It is that whole fire in the movie theater thing. And I had someone like, well, that just doesn't work. Okay, so let me give you another one. My dear son-in-law, who's not in this country, so obviously this is not real, relax, I want to pay you to go kill Joe Schmo. Now, what if he does that? Well, I didn't do anything wrong. I just used my freedom of speech. Well, what if I didn't even say, go kill Joe Schmo? What if I just looked at him and said, God, Joe Schmo, he has lots of trouble, and I don't know if our family is going to be able to survive with him still breathing. If only someone could fix that problem for me. I would still be on the hook. Because my free speech doesn't get to extend that far. Your right to own guns ends when bullets rip through babies' bodies. These kids today that are learning these lessons will ban all guns. You guys need to remember, the Constitution can be legally changed. It takes, 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate, the president, and then I believe, again, 2/3 of the states ratifying it. These kids will be in charge one day, and you can try and stop them from voting until they're fucking 40, but at some point they're going to get old enough to vote, and they are going to change things because they do not like what they see right now. So we can either try to get a hold of this problem now, or people will lose all their guns in this country. Because if we cannot prove that we can own them responsibly, there's going to be a lot of traumatized kids who are going to make that decision for us. And I can't even blame them for it. We have no business asking a 9-year-old to learn how to put trauma bandages on other children. Isn't it bad enough when just life happens and kids have to deal with trauma? I don't care how hard life used to be for kids. And I really don't even care how soft you think kids are today. One day they're going to be in charge. And you may still be alive to see that change. So I suggest we either get our government to do what like 85% of us want anyway, which should just tell you something about the government right there. We got to get a hold of this shit. No one should look at the survivor of a child that was in a mass shooting, say they're going to help to change that, and then make laws where it's easier to get guns. That's just selfish. I don't want to put my selfish needs and my selfish wants over the body of a baby. It's not worth it to me.